Welcome to the LC3 Family Talk podcast, where we take a deeper look at everything from recent sermons to current events, all through a biblical lens. You'll love the guests and stories you'll hear on LC3 Family Talk, where our goal is connection, community, and relationship with God and with one another. And now, here's your host and one of our pastors, David Pritchard.
Hello, church family, and welcome to LC3 Family Talk. So glad that you are here. Today, we are going to be talking about pre-marriage and all the things that come with that. I invited a couple of friends to come join me. This is Jen and Manuel, and they'll introduce themselves here in a sec. But the reason I invited them, other than they're amazing, wonderful, awesome people, is that they lead our pre-marriage class ministry called Merge, which we'll get to all of that. But thanks for joining me, you guys.
Absolutely.
So glad you're here. But before we jump into all that, I'd love for them to get to know you guys a little bit. And so why don't you do a better job of introducing yourself? Tell us a little bit about your journey, your faith journey. How do we find ourselves sitting here?
Hello, I am Jenny Ibarra, and I would say that my faith journey began when I was 33, because that's when I accepted Christ. I grew up Catholic, going to church with my family, doing all of the right things, but not knowing who I was in Christ, not knowing Christ in my life. And that led me through a lot of pain and a lot of hurt.
And you grew up around here.
Yeah, grew up in Lakewood.
All right.
I am the 12th of 12 kids, so it was quite a bit of
Not many people
around.
can say that.
No.
12 of 12 kids.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. How about you, Manny?
So hello, I'm Manny Ibarra, and my faith journey began about when I was 19. I grew up in a home where church was neither encouraged nor discouraged, but I just didn't go. Occasionally I would go to church with my friend, but it was a Methodist church, and I don't really even remember any of the sermons, don't remember hearing anything about salvation. And when I was 18, 19, I was working at a Dairy Queen across from a church, and a lot of the church people would come over and they would witness to me, and I had coworkers witnessing to me, and then I would just kind of blow it off thinking I'm a good person, I haven't killed anybody. And I also, when my aunt died suddenly in a fire, then I knew right then that God didn't guarantee it tomorrow, and that's when I got saved.
And same question, you grew up around here?
I grew up in South King County until about 1997, then I moved to Pierce County. So I grew up all over the place. My mom moved every school year until about 6th grade.
Well, good. How did you guys end up here at Lake City?
Well, for me, it was, we had been helping with Reengage about a year prior to coming here, and we were having some struggles at our previous church, and I had decided that if God ever called us to leave that church, we would come here. And one day God said, okay, it's time to jump ship and come over there.
You, however,
Yes,
we have a bit of a history.
We do. I was
yes.
here 20-some years ago when I was going through a very ugly divorce from a lot of abuse. And Kelly was very instrumental in, and you, in allowing me just to become a part of the family and introduced me to who Christ really was and showed me that true love. And I'll never, ever forget that. And so I was coming to church here for a while and found myself thinking I knew better than the people around me and than God, apparently, and got into a really not good situation, a marriage that broke apart pretty quickly, and tried to see my way through it. And again, you and Kelly walked me through that whole situation, trying to do the right thing. But through that time, I was not at Lake City. I went my own direction, and it was really difficult to come back.
Yeah.
But the two of you convinced me that coming here, doing Reengage was essential. We needed to do that. And that was a difficult thing for me, but we came back and I just instantly felt love from everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, we are so glad you're here. And I hope we can come back to that a little bit when we get to talking about Merge. I think there's lessons we learn in life that can also impact like how we get to now serve
Yes.
other people. So, but thanks for sharing that. I know anytime we walk away from someplace and things weren't necessarily exactly how everyone would want it to be, it's hard to step back. It takes a lot of courage, and it's a great picture for others to realize like, hey, we just love each other, and that's the body of Christ, right? To do life and to help each other as we go through life. So thanks for sharing all of that. Tell us a little bit about your family today.
We are a blended family. Manuel came into the marriage with 5 kids, and I have 2. And he also had a son-in-law and a grandchild, and so that was a whole different world for me. But we now have another son-in-law and another daughter-in-law, and growing family, but
2 more grandchildren.
2 more grandchildren, and hoping for more soon.
Nice. Well, it's fun to see the family continue to grow. We're going to get to merge, but it's about pre-marriage counseling. And so I think it would be fun to just talk a little bit about your own history or your own experience. Like, what did you guys do when it came to pre-marriage counseling?
So I didn't have any pre-marriage counseling in my first marriage, but in the second with Jen, we had marriage counseling with our former pastor. And it was good, but if we had something like merge available to us prior, that would have been awesome.
Yeah, I think that during that premarital counseling, it was more focused on the structure and not so much on us as individuals. So we needed to really explore the things we had been through in the past and how to look at those differently.
Yeah, it's interesting because I have people will ask me often, about premarital counseling. And what do you guys do? And Kelly and I have done a lot of premarital counseling. If I'm marrying somebody, we will do some premarital counseling. But we love it if they've already done merge, and then we're really just tacking on to that. But in premarital counseling, as we talk about it, we often will say it's not that you have to do premarital counseling. It's just that for us, I take marrying somebody very seriously. I feel like there's a responsibility and even an accountability for me as the pastor marrying someone. And so trying to do everything I can to help them find success and to be able to prosper in their marriage is important to me. And so that's where I say to them, like, anything you can do before the marriage just makes sense. I know for Kelly and I, we did premarital counseling, and it was great. It was the pastor that married us, but he lived hours away. We had to drive to him, and we did really one long session and a couple of phone calls. I'm glad we did, but I too am like, man, I wish there had been a merge, something like this, when we were trying to come through. So you now have been leading merge how long?
A long time.
Like 4 years? 3 years?
We've done, 5 or 6, 7 sessions? I don't remember. I've lost count.
Yeah, but several groups. With a handful of couples. You've been able to do this with a lot of couples. I'd love to hear, as you look over these years that you've been doing it, what's been some highlights? Like, what are some things you look back and you say, I'm so glad I'm doing merge because...
Well, first of all, I want to clarify that it wasn't just couples. We had several people go through single, and I think those were some of the most involved participants in the class because they really wanted to understand what the relationship was. I think people that came through as couples kind of knew each other and felt that they were pretty much in a flow in their relationship. But the ones that came through when they were single really tried to grasp the concept of what they wanted things to be. Not what they are, but what they wanted in the future. And that was really cool to watch them grow in that aspect.
I like that. And thanks for the clarification because folks, Merge is a ministry that's designed for people that are engaged, looking to get married,
just dating.
For people that are just dating, but it's also for anyone that just wants to know more about what is this marriage thing, at least biblically, what is this marriage thing all about? And so, and there have been a couple of fun stories of people that came through single and they're no longer single. So that's kind of fun as well. So good. Manny, how would you answer that question?
And the only requirement is, of course, you can't be married. But it's been great. We've had young people, older people. One time we ended up with like 5 people, and 3 of those 5 were my people.
Oh, yes.
It was my son and his fiance, and then my daughter's fiance. So that was an interesting take. But the cool thing is, after that one was over, on the next session, my daughter was home from college, so they all did it again. And then so did my other daughter. So it's just been unique to see different perspectives, because times are definitely different for young couples now than when we were that age. So
So if we're speaking about premarital specifically, what would you say is important about something like a merge or premarital counseling?
I think there's two different aspects there. Premarital counseling, at least from my experience and the people I've talked to, seems to be more of like a structure that you follow, things that you figure out about what, your marriage is going to look like that specific relationship. And I think that merge really dives into who you are, what your core values are, who Christ is in you, and it's more focused on you as a person and not the relationship per se. If you're going through in a relationship, then it's great to talk about that stuff with your significant other.
Yep.
But I feel like it's really good for you to learn who you are and what your goals are and try and focus on that as you're going through it.
Well, obviously, we've mentioned Reengage already, our marriage ministry, and how many times do we talk about it in Reengage? Draw a circle around yourself and work on everything inside that circle. In fact, the way Kelly and I describe it is when we go to the altar, we go to the altar ready for the happily ever after, but we don't realize that we're also bringing all this baggage to the altar. And what a gift to have an opportunity to take a look at all of that and say, what do I want to do with all of that before I decided now, bring that together with somebody else and all of the things that they bring to the altar as well.
I would say that's one of the most common comments that we get from especially people in a relationship is these are things that they never would have thought of to talk about.
Yeah.
It's topics that they wouldn't have known.
Yeah, I was going to say that they're like, well, we didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
And it gives them a pretty good perspective on how the future could possibly be and how it's important to talk about these things now before the wedding.
Yeah, because on the one hand, you can say, we didn't even think to talk about those. And so a cynical person could say, well, then don't talk about them. But the problem is they rear their head at some point.
Especially expectations.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. So let's talk a little bit specifically about merge. Somebody comes up to you and say, hey, so what's this merge? How would you guys answer that?
I immediately answer with it's something to just help you understand what a good Christian marriage should look like. And so that's pretty much my canned answer. Okay. And then I go into the explanation, especially if I know the person, about how it would apply to them specifically.
Yeah. I just like to tell them it covers a lot of important things that, again, that people don't think about, like finances, expectations, dealing with in-laws, what your roles in marriage are, what a godly marriage looks like. It's marriage from a biblical point of view.
Yeah, for Kelly and I, and again, if we're talking about the pre-marriage part of this, if I'm getting ready to marry somebody and I say, let's talk about premarital counseling, one of the reasons why, if there's any shot at them going through merge, I want them to do it. And I tell them this because the truth is, even like the book we use to do premarital counseling, they're all similar. You're going to talk about communications, you're going to talk about finance, you're going to talk about sex. There's certain topics that, whether it's merge or something else, we're going to talk about those things. And if we do the premarital counseling with them, we're going to talk about those things. The difference with merge is you're going to do it in community.
Yes. And
it is so helpful to hear other people talk about some of these things and go, oh man, yes, that's the same thing we're dealing with. And so I love the beauty of community. That's what we say about Reengage with marriage. But I think it's also one of the gifts in merge as well, is that not only are they going to talk about those conversations, but they're going to also hear it from some other people's perspective. And then as well, having a couple like you guys that have been down the road a little bit, sitting there helping to also guide that conversation.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, having different teachers come in for each lesson is super important because each time the students are there, the participants are there, they are getting a perspective from a different couple in the church, a couple who's had their own ups and downs, and maybe they can relate to a little bit more.
Yep.
So I just love the aspect that we have these different people in the church that can be a resource.
Yep. I love that. That's so good. Any funny stories or any highlight stories that you can share?
We have had some interesting teachers, especially when it comes to the sex chapter. And there have been some interesting things happen there. And the conversations can vary, too. different people have different things they want to talk about.
Yeah, without going into details, I thought we might be not asked to do merge anymore after that, after one night. And you know who you are.
Oh, that's awesome.
No, it's really great. Like she said, having the different couples and the different perspectives, and some of the couple, I mean, they love doing it. And so, and there's been teachers that haven't been able to do it again, and they're kind of disappointed and like, oh, I just can't do it this time. And I'm like, oh, bummer. But God always comes through. There's usually one lesson that we end up teaching each time. So it is what it is.
We manage through.
To your point, though, I always feel like when we're doing premarital counseling, the poor couple, they're going to hear from us every time, which it's fine for informational purposes,
Yeah.
but for experience and perspective, it's so nice to hear from others. And all these are people that love the Lord,
Yes.
Believe in a biblical marriage, and they're getting to hear, some of their perspectives.
And they're all people who offer up, we're around. If you have questions, we're here. And so it creates a community of support for the people going through it.
Yeah.
Whether they're in a relationship or not, they have people that they can ask questions.
Well, and then the other fun piece about that is like the recent one, Tim Bridges, that's what he does. He's a
Yes.
financial guy. And
Yeah.
for him to talk about finances, like when we're talking to finances with people, I'm like, well, listen, I don't know a lot about this. I'm just going to tell you the
Yeah.
basics.
His being excited about teaching that
Yeah.
really got the people that are listening excited about talking about it.
Yeah.
So that was really
I was
cool.
really grateful.
That's-
he was
that's
stepped up,
fun.
and he's doing it again for us.
Yeah, but of course, some of the best stories we've had are the people who've gone through single just to learn because they felt like what's not connecting with me to get a relationship that will really last. And then those amazing stories of them.
Well, I didn't get permission to share this, but I'm gonna do it. My buddy that went through as a single yogi, and older, he's closer to my age and had
Yeah.
never been married, but wanted to go through it and
Yeah.
see what happens or see what it's all about. And what a gift the Lord brought a woman into his life.
Yes.
And now today he's married.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing as well.
And he
for
bakes
sure.
wonderful cookies.
He does. But like thinking back on him going through the class, he really participated, asked questions. He really wanted that introspective
Yep.
and wanted to understand what it was in him that wasn't connecting. And I just loved watching that transformation.
Yep.
And he's not the only one.
No, he's not. But he's my buddy, so I can kind of pick on him. You've already alluded to it, but I'd love you to directly answer the question, who is Merge for?
Merge is for anybody who, again, is not married, but they're looking to see what a godly marriage should look like.
We've had
Single, engaged, just dating. Yeah.
Yeah, we've had younger, older people who have been through relationships. I mean, obviously, we have been through previous relationships and understand what didn't work. And a lot of it was not understanding ourselves and our own motive, I
That's
would
really
say,
good.
in the relationship.
Yeah, that's really
And-
good. Because so many times we land in this place of saying it didn't work because they were a jerk,
Yeah.
which they may have been if we're not able to look in a mirror and say, man, I was a problem.
Yeah.
And what was that? Like, what in me do I need to understand and
Yeah.
work on? That's such a good perspective. When is the next merge?
So Merge starts February 5th.
Okay, so as we're recording
Thursday.
this, we're still in January.
Okay.
And hopefully, folks, you'll hear this soon enough to, if not, we'll have merge again in the fall. And so that's why we weren't worried about trying to get this out, but we did want to put it out and hope that you hear this and are able to sign up. And how do they sign up?
They can register on the website or on the app.
Yep.
Yep. And it's, like I said, it starts Thursday, February 5th, 6:30 to 8, and it goes till March 26th.
Yeah, which is 8 weeks. All right. And other than the first week, they'll have some really great speakers that will be amazing and awesome.
Yes, you always open. We
Yes,
know.
that's
we're
poking a little fun at myself, but Kelly and I, we love being a part of Merge, and so we get to do that first one, which we are looking forward to. And it starts at 6:30
Correct.
and runs basically an hour and a half or 2 hours.
About an hour and a half, 8-ish.
Conversation can carry over a
Yeah,
little
over
bit.
to, yeah. I think when I tell people, I tell them plan on 8:30, but
Yeah.
you'll probably be out before that.
Yeah.
We'll be in the large conference room again.
Okay. And because this affects some people, there is childcare.
Yes.
So if somebody is wanting to come to Merge and they have a child, there is childcare that night,
Yep.
which is great as well. Last thing is I wrote this question thinking like, some of this will sound goofy, but let me just ask it the way I wrote it. Why do you think Merge is such a vital ministry for our church?
I think it's a vital ministry for church and just a vital ministry in general because marriage is so frowned upon these days. And it's just a piece of paper, a lot of people say, and it's more than that. And it's just important. And Merge will set you off on the right foot. I mean, you'll go in with some excellent tools to use that you might not have had otherwise.
Yeah, I think that marriage is hard. You just got to be real with it. It's hard. It's hard to have that person that really gets you, to feel loved. A lot of those things are just moments of self-doubt. So I think it's super important to our church because it gives us a community. And you can't go through a marriage and fighting through that on your own. You need a community. You need support. You need someone to be a cheerleader.
Yep.
And thankful that I have you and Kelly. I get that cheerleader right there just encouraging me and pushing me through, even when things are extremely hard and
Sure.
seem hopeless, are hopeless. Sometimes that happens. And through everything I've been through, I just see how important it is to really look at yourself, pick up that mirror and understand who you are, but having the community. And I think that's why the church being essential,
Yep.
being part of it.
Well, I know years and years ago, our church made a very conscious decision that we needed to strengthen marriages, strengthen our men, and then strengthen our marriages. And we have seen the ripple effect of that because as you strengthen marriages, we strengthen our church. And as we strengthen our church, we strengthen our community. And that led us to reengage. But then the natural outgrowth from reengage was great. We're strengthening marriages once they happen.
Yeah.
But why don't we get on the front end and help prepare people so that they can get off on the right foot?
I agree. I think that a lot of times people think reengage is more for couples that are going through struggle. And although it is great for them, it's also just for couples wanting to be better.
Just want to be better and
I
strengthen.
think we started doing that before our marriage was really off the ground. So it gave us that foundation, which was wonderful. But there was so much work that could have been done beforehand
Yep.
to really set us up for success.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your guys' commitment to this. It's a time commitment. We just had a sermon series on costly worship, and I know there's a cost to doing this, to your life and to your family, but just know that I appreciate you guys doing this, and I know others do. And church family, I just want to encourage you, if you are not married and you are at all interested in what does the Bible say about marriage or what does that look like, consider coming through. And then certainly if you are engaged, then absolutely. Even if you're going to have a pastor do some premarital counseling with you, I can't tell you enough what a great opportunity it is for you to be able to go through Merge. And so consider doing that.
I just want to say to anybody out there that's interested, you don't have to be going to church here. You can just come and be a part of the ministry. So if you know people, as our family, if you know people that, could benefit from this, send them here. It's not a church thing per se. It's really open to anybody in the community. So invite people. Have people come. It's way more fun when there's more people here.
Yeah, and we say this about marriage ministry in general. You don't even have to be a believer. I mean,
Yeah.
We're not going to pull any punches. We're going to talk about it from a biblical perspective. But we've had non-believers come through reengage, merge, so all are welcome. So thanks for saying that.
In fact, we've had somebody get saved in the middle of merge,
Yeah.
going through the classes, and so we've been able to see some huge growth in people.
That's great. So church family, check out Merge. You guys, thank you again for serving, but also thanks for joining me here and having this conversation. All right. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for connection, community, and relationship here on LC3 Family Talk. See you next time.